I was having a conversation with someone a few days ago, and I told her how much I enjoy pasta and beans. I mean, spaghetti in particular and beans. And she said that I'm a cultist because she has never heard of that combo. And I'm like, what? Which part of the world do you even live in? So I decided to film the process of making this while I was making it this afternoon for lunch. And I'm like, you know what? People need to enjoy this delicacy. So let me just show you how I make mine. As you saw previously, I just parboiled my spaghetti and I set it aside. So in a dry pot, I added my palm oil, added my ginger and garlic paste, okay, and then I stirred it all up together. I allowed this to fry for a few minutes before I introduced my red onions. Okay, now when you add your onions, you want to just stir and allow it to release its own juice to the oil. I mean, if you're an OG on this channel, you will understand what I mean by that. It's just to build up flavors basically, and you know onions adds a lot of flavor to your food, so please do not omit the onions. If you're not a big fan of onions, you can blend it all up, okay, so you don't see it in your food, but it's very essential. Okay, now I just stir up my sauce to just ensure everything mixed up together before I added my fresh tomatoes. Now sometimes when I make this, I usually do add tatashe and shombo. That is the other one, the paprika and scotch bonnet, but I didn't have it in the house and I didn't want to step out, so I just made use of the fresh tomatoes I had in my fridge. But if you have your tatashe and shombo, you can go ahead and add it to just add color to it and maybe flavor, but the tomatoes is just enough. Okay, I added my already chopped peppers, okay, that is my scotch bonnet peppers, okay, and then I stirred it all up together and then covered it up to fry. Now you know the tomatoes is dry, of course, when there is no more water, so I checked and realized that there was still water, so I still had to just cover it up to allow it dry. When it eventually dried up, I now added my seasoning cubes. I added just two seasoning cubes and some salt. Okay, I don't like to go overboard with my salt. I like to go easy on my salt, just to stay low on my sodium intake. But if you do not mind, you can add more salt, but honestly that's enough for me. I stirred it all up to just ensure everything mixed up together. Remember, we don't like sweet tasting part of our meal and the other part being bland, so you stir and stir and stir, turn and turn and turn, whichever one, because I was about biting my tongue. Anyways, when that fry up for a while, you introduce your crayfish. Please be generous with your crayfish. Remember, a very nice tasty beans requires a lot of crayfish, so I added my crayfish. See, if you're in Nigeria will always expose you. So NEPA just brought light and the alarm is currently disturbing. So please kindly ignore that, I beg you, okay? Now, when I allow that to fry for a while, I just introduced my already cooked beans. So these beans, I cooked it for a while and I freezed it in my freezer. It just makes it easier for me. I like to batch cook my beans, just make a lot of them, and then, just store them in the freezer and bring them out to cook different meals. So for this particular one, is already properly cooked. So when I poured it in, I just allowed it to defrost in the pan. I just covered it, allowed it to defrost before adding my pasta that we already parboiled earlier on. Okay, now this is where the job is. You want to do your stirring very well because you want to ensure that everything just mix up properly. Okay, so just stir and stir. Be very patient with your stirring. Don't worry, you eventually get it, but it takes a while for you to stir. So at the end of the day, this is exactly what your baby girl got, and this is what I'm about to have. Hey, if you've never tried it, please try it, I beg you, okay?